My name is Daniel Wynn, and by day I invest in sports cards, but by night I make videos about investing in sports cards. I am the great curator. Join me on my journey to break even in the hobby that we all love.
Hello everyone, I'm the Great Curator and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're here, appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. These videos are designed to educate people who are new to the hobby or people just kind of looking for more information. This is my kind of creative way to express my opinions about certain things, kind of share my experience in the hobby, and hopefully anybody that watches these videos can get some value from them, okay? So if you do find them interesting, if you do find them valuable, please like, subscribe. I appreciate it. That kind of feedback encourages me to make more videos. And as I make more videos, I promise that I will continue to invest my resources and time into improving the quality of the content and quality of the videos. I do read the comments. I have heard you guys. I do listen. I know that you want me to turn down the damn music. Okay, so I'm working on that. I know that you want me to get a better mic, so I'm working on that, okay? I've only been making videos for a few weeks now, so just please bear with me as I try to learn and figure out how to best do this. But I promise the videos will get better, okay? Just please continue to like, please continue to watch and subscribe. Okay, so with that, let me talk about today's video. This is gonna be a continuation of the series of videos that I put out, what I like to call Sports Card Collecting 101. This is designed for entry-level people getting into the hobby where they're trying to do their initial research to figure out what to do. So hopefully, you guys have been watching these videos and you're able to get some value from that. Today's topic is going to be talking about the differences between short-term versus long-term strategy and how you apply that to your card collecting strategy in this hobby, okay? So with that, let me just kind of explain generally what short-term versus long-term strategies are if you're not familiar with investing, okay? So in a broad sense, short term is considered, for example, anything under 1 year period of hold time. So if you buy something, if you buy a card and you hold it for under a year, that would be considered short term. Don't ask me why it's a year. That's just what people generally consider short term. That's the guideline that they use in the stock market. If you buy a stock and you hold it for 1 year, you pay a certain amount of taxes, versus if you hold it for over a year, it's considered long term and you pay a lower amount of taxes. So that same kind of those same factors can apply to the card market, I would say. So anything that is under 1 year hold time, short term, okay? Anything over 1 year hold time, long term. So if you hold it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you're long term. If you hold it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you're short term, okay? Both strategies have their pros and cons, which I will go over in this video. Both strategies work for different type of people. So you just have to kind of decide what you think works best for you, what your goals are, short-term and long-term goals, and how they can apply, and you will be fine, okay? So with that, let's talk about these short-term versus long-term in the context of cards. So for short-term strategy, imagine like you're buying prospects or rookies going into the season. Like, for example, let's just say you're buying, Trevor Lawrence rookie cards right now, and then your intention is to flip them into the season, okay? That would be considered short term, all right? If you're buying Zion cards right now, Zion rookie cards, because you think that he's gonna, have a breakout year, and you're gonna sell leading up to the season or mid-season, okay? You're buying in the off-season and you're gonna sell within a year, short-term strategy, okay? So with short-term strategy, there's a couple pros and cons that I wanna go over, all right? The pros for short-term strategy is that it allows you to make money quickly. You can buy a card at if you get a good cost basis on it, a good margin, you can sell it generally for 20%, 30% more than what you pay for it in a relatively short amount of time, okay? That's generally how people operate. Sometimes people try to get more, they try to squeeze out more, 40, 50%, depending on what price they got at the card. But generally, if you're flipping cards, if you're buying short-term and holding for a little bit and then selling it, the margin that you're gonna be looking at is a reasonable expectation would be 20 to 30%, I would say, okay? So that is a pro. It will allow you to make money quickly on your investments, okay? Second pro of short term is that it's fun. You know, it's fun. You buy cards, you can go out to the shows the next week and you can make a deal, transaction, and boom, you get your money and you make money quickly. You do a lot of transacting, all right? You're gonna have to hustle a lot. You're gonna have to go to shows every week. You're gonna have to be listing things on eBay. You're gonna be talking to people, making deals left and right. It's a grind, but it's a hustle. Okay, so that can be a lot of fun for people depending on how you look at it. Okay, it allows you to be very active in the community if you're buying and selling and trading all the time. All right. Third pro of short-term strategy is that it allows you to be flexible with the market, very liquid. You can buy a card, and if you're willing to sell it right away, you can get out of it. You get your money back, whether you make a profit or you don't. You get your money back real quick. Okay, so it allows you to have the flexibility, and if you kind of build that into your strategy, that gives you a cushion just in case something happens. So like if you buy a card for $100 and it appreciates $110, but you're waiting for that appreciation to go to 125, okay, you have the option to get out quick if you need to. Okay, you can take whatever profit is on the table and you can get out quickly. All right, so it gives you that flexibility. So those are the pros of short-term strategy, okay? The cons of short-term strategy are, just like you have the ability to make money quickly, if you can take a card and flip it for 20%, 30%, if the market is favorable, you also have the ability to lose money just as quick, okay? If the market goes down when you thought it was gonna go up, you can lose 20, 30%. Okay, you're subject to that market volatility, especially the way people value cards by going off of eBay comps. If the cards are very heavily transacted, which means they sell every single week, you could easily go, lose money on a card that you intended to flip in a couple weeks. Okay, so you're subject to market volatilities. Okay, the second con is that it requires time. So just like I was saying that it's fun to be active in the community, to go to shows, to make deals, some people don't like that, and if you're not willing to commit the time to go to shows and hustle and grind, then you're not going to have those opportunities to move the cards as quick as you want. So it does require a level of time commitment and work that you have to get out there and do these transactions. And if you don't have that time, then you could be losing money on those cards. Okay. And then the last con that I'll highlight here is that generally with short-term holds, you don't have that home run, that big life-changing return or deal that you want to make. You're not going to make 5x on a card, 10x on a card, unless you got extremely lucky somehow and picked up a card at a very low price. Most of the time, going back to that pro that I spoke to, a reasonable amount that you think that you can pay would probably be like 20%, or that you can make on a card, 20, 30%, sometimes 50%. Usually you don't make double your money unless, again, you got the card at a really good deal, okay? So you're not gonna get those big returns, so have that in your expectations, all right? So those are the pros and cons of short-term strategy. Now let's compare that to long-term strategy, long-term holds, okay? With long-term holds, the pros to this are you're gonna get better appreciation with the cards. So just like I was talking about getting the 20 to 30% margin when you sell a card quickly, with long-term holds, you can generally expect to get a higher return depending on how long you hold it and how the market goes, okay? So people who buy, like, let's just say they buy that Zion today, but they want to hold it for 10 years because they think that he's going to be the next LeBron, right? In 10 years, that card can easily 10x, 20x, okay, depending on type of card and where the market is. Okay, so the appreciation is generally going to be better on the cards. The profit margin that you're going to make is generally going to be better just because you give the card time to season and you give hopefully if the player pans out or anything like that, or the market continues to grow, you will also see growth in the card. The second pro of a long-term strategy is that you are not subject to the market volatility. So just like I was speaking before about like eBay comps and how they can make a card go up and down 20, 30%, with long-term holds, you don't really worry about that, okay? It doesn't matter if a card transacts 1,000 times within 1 year period. As long as you're not trading within that period of time, you don't care if the card goes up or down, up and down. You only care about the card when you sell it. And you're not gonna sell it until you're ready to, where it has hit a certain number where you're ready to cash out on that card. So people who are long-term, they don't care about market volatility. All the people, everything that's happened in the last 5 months when the cards prices were going down from February, the people that were really nervous and concerned about that were the short-term holds, where they had all their cards that were underwater, all their money was tied up there. The people who were long-term, they weren't worried about it. They were probably buying more cards because they were getting them at good deals, but they weren't worried about the market going down because they're long-term, and they're only going to sell when the market goes up. Okay, an example of this is those people that were collectors before the hobby blew up like 2 years ago. Okay, all those people that were collectors, those were like long-term holds. They were collecting because they believed the cards were going to go up at some point, and when the market did, they cashed in and they made thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, and now those people who had all those great cards going into that big market boom, now they're at like the top 1% of the community right now. Now they have enough money to pay for all the best cards out there, and they were able to do very well for themselves because they were long-term holds. Okay, long-term strategy. The last pro about long-term holds is that it allows you, I think, to enjoy your collection more. You're not worried about buying a card and flipping it the next week. You're buying a card that you really like, that you believe in, okay, and you get to enjoy it and hold it into your collection for however long you decide to. So that's another pro that I see from long-term strategy. Cons. Let's talk about cons for long-term strategy. One of the cons I want to bring up or highlight is that your money will be tied up into that card for a while. So understand that, okay? If you're investing $1,000 into a card, don't expect to get that $1,000 back anytime soon. It's sitting in that card, in the equity value of that card, for as long as you're going to hold it. So that if you plan to hold it for like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, your money will be tied up in that card. So that is a drawback because sometimes people need that money for something else, right? But you can't, with long-term holds, they're not as liquid as they should be with short-term holds. Okay. Second con I want to highlight is that you are also subject to losing money on the card. Okay, not due to market volatility, but due to the player not panning out. So let's just say you invest in the Zion card and he blows out his knee and he never becomes the player that people expect him to be. This happened to Penny Hardaway, this happened to Grant Hill, this happened to Derrick Rose. Guys that were going to be the next Michael Jordan, the next Kobe. People were investing heavily into them, thinking long-term they were going to be great. And then they just didn't pan out and the card just, went down in value. So you are subject to player volatility, okay? Not market volatility, but player volatility. If he doesn't pan out or he does something bad and he doesn't, amount to whatever they expect of him, then you're going to lose money, okay? And then the third con I want to highlight is that just like with short term where it's fun to wheel and deal with people, it's not as fun when you're long term, because if you don't have cards that you can wheel and deal every week at the shows, you're just going to be buying the whole time. And unless you have unlimited funds where you can just buy constantly, you're probably not going to be that active in the market if everything that you're buying, you're holding for, a few years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Okay, so it may not be as fun depending on if you enjoy that community aspect where you can go out there and deal with people. Okay, so those are the pros and cons of short-term versus long-term strategy. One thing I want to emphasize, guys, is that you don't have to pick either one. You can have a hybrid approach. You can do percentage of your card portfolio to be short-term and another percentage to be long-term. Maybe you do 50% long-term, 50% short-term. You keep the cards that you really believe in, and the cards for the short-term strategy, you're flipping those cards, you're building up your cash flow, you're building up your cash reserves so that you can go out and buy the better cards, okay? And then put them away for a while. So you can have a hybrid approach. There's no right or wrong way, but just make sure that you understand each approach and you have expectations for each approach, okay? Don't buy a card that you think that you're gonna hold for a month and it's gonna 10x, okay? That's not realistic, okay? Don't buy a card that you plan to hold for 5 years, but are frustrated that your money's tied up in that card, okay? Have reasonable expectations for each strategy that you employ, and as as you get deeper into the hobby and you get more experience, you will adjust that strategy accordingly, okay? You will change it up. You don't have to stick with it the whole time. You can change it up and just kind of mold it to your personal preferences and develop your own strategy on what you think is best, okay? But just use those two guidelines of short-term versus long-term strategy when you're thinking about your long-term or your plans on how you want to invest your money. And I think that you guys will do all right, okay? As long as you can understand those two concepts, all right? That's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys found it useful, you found some value in it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Please share this to all your friends. I'm trying to grow this channel as much as I can. The more I grow it, the more effort and resources I will put into this. So I do appreciate all the support so far. I appreciate the comments. Please leave comments below. I read all of them. I try to respond to as many of them as I can. If you guys want, find me on Instagram at The Great Curator. You can DM me. I'm happy to chat hobby and cards with anybody anytime. So find me there. And if you see me at a show, say hello. I think that will probably be it for this series of videos. And then the next series of videos I'm going to be making, card collecting 201, as I like to say, will go into like deal making. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Appreciate the support, guys, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.